What's up, bankers?
Hello, bankers.
How is everybody doing?
How are you doing? We are coming to you as this news just dropped. We're going to be doing more of these as news comes out. Special for YouTube. Brief episodes where we talk about the latest groundbreaking news. Be sure to subscribe. If you're watching this, subscribe. Be a part of the revolution. This is the Red Flags, brought to you by BetMGM. We also do a podcast called Vanka Hours with Gunter Steiner. It comes out every Wednesday following race weeks. But this is a special episode because there's been a big piece of breaking news in the Formula One world. Oscar Piastri, McLaren driver, might win the championship this year. And listen, McLaren thinks he's pretty good because he was supposed to be signed for up until the end of 2026, but Zach Brown and McLaren said no, we're up in that. He's on with McLaren until 2028 with a reported $26 million a year new contract.
I can't believe. Look, Oscar is basically a member of the family. Gonna hit up. At some point we're hitting them up for a loan.
100%.
We got to build a studio at some point of our own. So I hope that this is true, that he got the $26 million a year.
Yeah, this is, I don't know. We're unclear if this is confirmed. Reuters, which sounds good, is saying it. So that sounds good. Now there's discussion about how much is Lando making in his contract. It's actually unclear how much. There's no official report on Lando's salary. I'd like to think that Oscar's not getting paid more than Lando, but who knows? Maybe he is.
I like to think it's hilarious if that's true.
If that's true, then there's chaos brewing in Woking.
Lando Norris salary. Let's see. I mean,
it's reported that he makes. It's reported that he makes $19 million, but it's all unconfirmed. So what's the internet says that Lando makes $19 million a year, and what the internet's also saying is that Oscar's making $26 million a year now. So they might be paying Oscar Piastri more than Lando Norris.
Yeah, that's going to cause some tension at work. Could you imagine being Lando Norris and making less money than Oscar Piastri? You've bled. You've been there. You've bled all these years. You beat Oscar now 2 years in a row. In the points.
Yeah.
But and then Oscar's like shows up being like, "What's up, you poor bitch? What's being broke? What's being broke feel like?"
He goes, "Hey, new Richard Mille. What are you wearing? Last year's version. I got the mint brand new one, dude."
Here's the crazy part, Brian, is if you paid me $100 million to do this podcast, I'd be thrilled, but then told me you were getting paid 105, I'd be furious.
Yeah. 100%.
That's how it works. That's how it works.
It's all relative.
It's all relative. Like, if a guy's making $50,000 and he lives in a town where everybody's making $25,000, he feels like a king, right? I know people that make millions of dollars that are around people who make, like, I know people around like make low millions, but they're around billionaires and they feel like shit. They feel like absolute shit. They feel like the worst people in the world. So if this is true, I don't know if it's true, that Lando Norris is going to be pissed.
Well, I think he's going to get, even if he's getting paid the same, which is also what some people are saying, is that they're going to be making the same contract, but the same amount of money because, hey, they've got two number one drivers. I don't know if you've heard, but McLaren has two number one drivers. They're saying it until they're blue in the face that they have two number one drivers. So even if they're getting paid the same, that's still going to cause tension in the room because, I mean, we looked what happened last year. They're in the fight to win this championship, and I don't know. It's just one of these crazy things where they're going to keep saying it until they're blue in the face. But
they put their money where their mouth was, Brian.
Right. No, they're going to keep doing that. But at what point, and we saw this happen last year, in the treating them equally, they shot themselves in the foot a few times. And at what point is this thing going to explode?
I think right around now. Now.
The fuse has been lit. The fuse was lit last year, and now Zach Brown is going on the fuse. Let's make this thing go faster so this thing blows up before the summer break.
Because it's kind of a lose-lose. Because if Oscar does better than Lando, then you kind of lose Lando, right? Then Lando's kind of you burn that asset a little bit,
right?
But I guess you're happy because now you found a new asset in Oscar.
Totally.
That's the best case scenario is Oscar fucking delivers and Lando is crushed, right?
Right.
But the flip side is Oscar doesn't deliver, and now now you've overpaid for this guy.
Yeah.
And Lando's just resentful. It's like give me the extra fucking $20 million.
Yeah, well, it's this interesting dilemma. I mean, we've seen it before in teams, specifically at McLaren, right? Specifically at McLaren. We watched had this mentality, and it shot them in the foot. I mean,
well, they overpaid for Daniel Ricciardo.
Right.
No, they were like, okay, Lando's cute and everything, but let's throw a bag at Ricciardo, and then he was a white elephant for them, you know.
Right.
And so I'm not saying obviously Piastri's proven himself to be up to the task, but in terms of like how Lando's feeling, like when Carlos Sainz left, it was like Lando might have felt, okay, my team, nope, Daniel Ricciardo's team. Then he ran Daniel out on a rail. And then it's like, okay, my team. Now Oscar Piastri's here. It's like, it keeps feeling like, when does Lando go, hey, why don't you get me a Liam Lawson?
Right.
Why don't you get me a fucking clear number 2 here?
Well, at some
who
point,
knows his
will
role?
at some point, will one of them say, hey, I'm not doing this. You like pick me, choose me. You know, you can't be dating multiple people at the same time. I need to feel like the bell. But one of them is going to feel like that. And I think what's interesting about this, because Lando, I think, is on until the end of 2027. Now, Oscar's new contract has him on until the end of 2028. So Oscar is actually currently contractually going to be there longer. But who knows where they will fall in the new regulations. Next year, McLaren might be nowhere. And if they're going to like build around one of these guys, I think this might be the year where they kind of decide, hey, who's our real like long-term guy?
But they've already kind of half decided already.
Yeah, they've decided at least that Oscar's there for another year.
Oscar is part of their long-term future. And Lando's part of their midterm future.
Right.
I mean, Lando's not like out. He signed. He re-upped last year, right?
Right. Yeah. He's there. He's there until he was supposed to be there. I think until the end of 2025. He re-signed. He's there until the end of 2027 now. Now there were some rumors that Red Bull were courting Piastri.
Great part in Drive to Survive. They asked Christian, "Who would you choose between Lando?" And he went, "Oscar."
Yep.
Oscar didn't even let them finish the sentence, and that made me actually kind of look. Oscar's
not
a great driver. We love Oscar,
yeah.
but it made me think he was fucking with McLaren.
100%.
He sees a weakness there in that relationship, and he knows Oscar will. Like Lando's loyal, Oscar and his people will cut a motherfucker and leave.
Yep.
So that is him. That is him. Showing Oscar a little leg, batting his eyelashes at Oscar, being like, hey, come in here, the water's warm a little bit.
It's twofold. It's both, hey, Oscar, I think you're pretty cute. I think you got some good stuff going on. Hey, what would it be like to be at my team? Also, it's getting in the head of Lando Norris. It's trying to drive a wedge between those two. I'm curious as to who is in the Oscar camp at the McLaren, HQ, and who is in the Lando camp at the McLaren HQ, because at this point, people have got to be starting to kind of choose sides. I know that they say in the press over and over, like, I mean, how many times in Drive to Survive this year did they say, like, well, the team, I get hired by the team and the team told me to do this? It's
right.
Like they've been told to say that a million times, but they're both kind of dying inside.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. You kind of get the impression that Zach's a big Lando guy, and Stella just kind of gives you the vibe that he's a big Oscar guy.
Yeah,
they just seem like they're similar energies,
right?
And Zach's got that personal investment, but there's no way that Stella just went rogue and signed Oscar
No,
for
of course,
20 million, 25 million a year, whatever it is, without Zach signing off. I think these executive types, Zach has faith that he can keep these guys both happy, you know. And if I'm Zach Brown, who we learn about a little bit more. I'm Zach Brown. I dropped out of high school. I'm now fucking worth a shitload of money. I'm like, I could figure out these tweens. You know what I mean? I can massage these guys. I could work that out.
I don't think that he can. And I'm a Zach Brown fan, but I don't.
That's fine.
I think he's going to fail in that endeavor.
We asked Gunther, like, you go one and you hire like a Lewis and then a Bottas, or you go for two good ones? He goes, if you're a manager, you live for that. You go get the two best drivers I can. And that's high class problems, right?
Of course.
I remember when you and I talked about, you and I are in binding litigation, like Social Network, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, well, that's a good thing. If we hate each other and are fighting over $100 billion empire, it's a good thing, right? It's like, whoa, like these guys are fighting over the WDC, like Nico and Hamilton. It's like, you know how much you have to kill it to have a Hamilton-Rosberg situation? You have to fucking kill it.
Yes, you do, but it's similar to the metaphor we had in the beginning, which is that it's all relative. That if Oscar's making even $1 million more than Lando a year, that it's going to feel bad.
If I'm Lando, I'm homicidally angry.
Right. So in the same way,
I am burning down Woking at this point. If
in the
he's
same way, money. It's like you build McLaren. Let's get the two best drivers that we have, and then hopefully we get the team to the point where we're winning championships, constructors and drivers. Guess what? Now you're there. High-class problems, champagne problems, but problems nonetheless. Money does not make you happy. Do rich people seem happy? No, they're not.
Most of them don't, honestly. Most of them don't.
And they are now rich with opportunity in the Formula One world. I just think that this is now setting off the tone that this is going to be a powder keg of a fucking season for McLaren.
So when Billie Jean King said pressure is a privilege, you go, no. Pressure is pressure. Pressure sucks.
I think there's different kinds of pressure. I think pressure from the outside world, one thing. Pressure from within the familia, horrible.
I don't there's just no way that Lando isn't wanting to burn down McLaren. Unless he is has more equanimity than any human being I've ever met.
He doesn't.
He's not the Dalai Lama. He's a fucking F1 driver. There's no way that wouldn't piss him off.
Now, I don't know, maybe there's a plan. I mean, Lando's on until 27. I doubt that they're going to be and we're up in Lando as well. This is going to be this is the contract move of their season. Now, Lando did say in an interview recently, he was like, if you were going to drive for any other team, which one would it be? And he was basically like, Ferrari. I would drive. He said it coyly, he's like, I would drive for the one that everyone wants to drive for, but I'm happy with McLaren. That's a signal.
A non-answer.
But he's sending out he's sending. I mean, if the Red Bull door is shut, I feel like there's Mercedes doors obviously maybe down the line that might be open, but Toto seems pretty preoccupied with what he's got going on over there and his eyes on Max Verstappen. I just think I don't know, maybe he's sending out a signal into the press. Hey, when Lewis retires, what about me?
I just don't understand. It's interesting where it comes from both sides because if I'm Oscar, if Oscar's getting paid as much as it's reported that he's getting paid, then he did a great job. His team did an amazing job because he hasn't really proven himself equal to Lando on a consistent basis yet.
Right.
On given weekends, he can be as good or better than Lando, but over the course of a long season, he still has growth to do. In a year, McLaren's either going to be like, wow, we overpaid for this guy, maybe, or they'll be like, or they're going to be like, we locked this guy in for years and now we own him, and aren't we happy about it? So we'll see. But there is but to give him that Lando Norris level money without him actually equaling Lando. It's on what they think he can do. It's a show of good faith.
Yes.
Which is, maybe motivating. I don't think this guy needs fucking motivation. I don't think, but yeah, I mean, it's a hats off to Oscar and his team for making that happen.
Yeah. No, I think that Australia is going to be, there's going to be fireworks. I mean, what does Lando do in this situation? I mean, like, if let's say Oscar gets pole in Australia, Lando's in second. I'm like, I'm curious how Lando Norris is taking this news right now. Is this news deflating him, or is this news firing him up? Because I hope
it's the latter, but he very easily gets deflated. He's like, well, okay.
Yeah.
He could be Eeyore. Right. He's got an Eeyore. Well, I guess they don't like me. It's like, no, make them fucking regret.
Right.
Make them sorry.
And I think if you're going to set the tone for the season in the home race where they make this announcement, because it's coming into the home race, like, that's when they make these kinds of announcements. It's like, he's in Australia, let's do it now. We wanted to do it at some point this year. Let's do it before the home race. Like, we watched Liam Lawson give Sergio Perez the middle finger in Mexico, and you see on Drive to Survive, they're like, do you think that this is going to, like, affect your stake in the team? He goes, I hope not. And then on Drive to Survive, Christian goes, yeah, he shouldn't have done that. We're gonna have a real serious conversation with him about that at Red Bull next year because he's replacing Checo. So yeah, we loved. So subtext, we fucking loved it. We loved it.
Yeah, they're talking out of both sides of their mouths. Like when Oscar, did his stuff in Monza, they were like, well, naughty, but also like guys, let's back up the Briggs truck for this guy.
Yes. Totally.
It gives that whole scene in Drive to Survive, which we'll talk about on the Patreon. It gives that whole scene in Drive to Survive a whole new flavor where Lando's just sitting there and he's like, okay, so Oscar, we're going to be supporting Lando. And Oscar was like just sitting there being like, you heard that, right? Like that was kind of his vibe. Like, you hear that, Oscar? Yeah. We're supporting me. Me.
Totally.
It's me. I crushed that, didn't I?
That was amazing.
It's
beautiful.
Me.
So if you care to find me, look to my bank account. Yeah, I just think it's going to be an explosive year at that team. The team in the front is it's going to be explosive.
Dude, this is what brought down Call Her Daddy. I mean, what's her face found out
Alex
that
Cooper.
Sophia Franklin found out Alex Cooper was getting paid a little bit more.
Yep.
Lit the whole thing on fire. Now one is interviewing like fucking Obama, and the other one she's got a podcast, but Yeah. So who's going to be Alex Cooper? Who's going to be Alex Cooper? It's going to be Sophia Franklin. We're going to find out. It's amazing.
We'll find out.
And Zach, I guess, is Dave Portnoy.
Put your comments in the cap. Lando is either Alex Cooper or Sophia Franklin. Who's who? I want to see the comments. We'll tally it up. This is science, baby. This is science. It's going to be such a good year. Despite all this, I'm like, it's going to be so tasty no matter what happens.
Yeah, it took us 20 minutes to get there, but we got there. Alex Cooper, Sophia Franklin, it's called Call Her Zaddy, and that's the name of the McLaren podcast.
That's right.
And
Call Her Zaddy, Zaddy Brown, Zach, Zaddy Brown.
And Stella is MILF Hunter. And it all works. It's all perfect.
It's perfect. All right, Venkas, this is we're doing more of these episodes for the YouTube. Subscribe, click the notification button, all that dumb YouTube stuff. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye, Venkas.